what do you think about the cloud hype? Is there real added value for customers, or is it just ERP vendors making more money on the same customer base? Stirring up the controversy. I like it.
Let's just go with a yes. I think that there are scenarios where we have seen clients that have been severely disadvantaged by the cloud platform approach, where if you don't go live and go live on budget and on time, you're in a real tough spot, because it's really, really hard to talk vendors into giving that money back. And to be honest, I don't think I've ever seen them do it. So we've had clients that have said, I've been trying to implement this software for 3 years, and we are still not live, and we've been paying for licenses since day one, and we'd love to get some of that money back. And vendor says, no way. Actually, you got 2 more years, so make sure you keep making those payments on time. So there is a bit of a revenue generation engine behind that that's changed the dynamic of the space. Whereas in the past, with the on-premise and the perpetual licensing platforms, it was much easier to say, well, we'll buy the licenses when we go live. That doesn't happen anymore. So I'd say that there is a challenge in that if you find yourself in the wrong spot. But I think that overall, the subscription base and the multi-tenant platforms that are out there from a cloud perspective are really important to the growth of businesses in today's day and age. If you want to be nimble and you want to be responsive to the market, you got to be on the internet, and there's just no other way around it. And it allows for such rapid scalability. You don't have to take new servers to the other side of the world to integrate your platforms and then have batch jobs. It's all real time, and that was a whole lot harder to do in the past, and it was really starting to feel like a cloud base anyway. Once you started doing it really well, because it's all just servers connected to the internet, which is essentially what it is. The only difference is the servers are on the vendor's server platforms and all that stuff, rather than yours. So I'd say that the benefits are there, especially as it pertains to being responsive. So I would encourage the cloud platforms for sure. And at the end of the day, it also forces the conversation on customization into a place where it belongs, I think. It helps customers break habits in customization rather than reinforces them, which is the old on-premise. You write the code, you write it to say anything. Today, that's harder to do because of the multi-tenant scenarios.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's, longer term, if we fast forward, say 3 to 5 years from now, I think a lot of this becomes somewhat of a moot point. But I think right now, the cloud space, the cloud ERP space, largely is largely in this transitionary stage. If you set aside, say, a NetSuite, Workday, Salesforce, those are 3 big ERP enterprise tech vendors that are built in the cloud. They're built as SaaS solutions. So set those aside for a moment, because this comment doesn't apply to them. But aside from NetSuite, Salesforce, Workday, you look at the rest of the market in the ERP space, most of them are migrating from their on-prem solutions, which had been around for decades with all this R&D and all this advanced functionality and stuff that was built for those core solutions. Now they're trying to rewrite all that stuff and recreate that and replicate that functionality in the cloud, which will eventually get there, but we're still kind of working through the growing pains of that transition. So to answer the question about, is this better for the vendors? I'd say in the short term and long term, it is really good for the vendors. I mean, the vendors obviously are chomping at the bit to get more cloud subscription revenue. Investors love it. It increases the multiples of their valuations, and they make more money when they sell more cloud software. In the short term, it may not be as much value as it will be in, say, 3 or 5 or 7 years from now, because those solutions will mature and they'll deliver more value over time. But right now, it's difficult because a lot of these vendors don't quite have the capabilities in the cloud that they used to have in on-prem. Now, having said that, there are some new capabilities they're introducing and that can only be enabled by the cloud or further enabled by the cloud, like AI and some of the analytics and things like that. Internet of Things, you think about all these things that are enabled by cloud, there is going to be more value over time. But in the short term, organizations have to be realistic that there are some bumpy growing pains in that transition.
Yeah, and I'd say that coming back to the AI conversation, you won't be able to leverage that effectively without a cloud SaaS-based platform, because when you really get into it and all that data becomes all shared, whether it's partitioned well or not, you start to gain a lot more access, right? That's really when AI gets to the point where it can not only leverage your data but the data that's out there as well, on in other systems. I think that's a really really powerful thing to be able to say that predictive analytics and those types of things can not only draw in your information, but what's happening on the broader market because of the size of the platform. So there's a lot in that has a lot of value that I think is going to just continue to expand.